Today we want to talk about dispensing materials through a cartridge gun. There's a lot of you out there that want to apply coatings or elastomers that are very, very fast setting. Can't be done by hand and have to be sprayed. Your only options before were very expensive plural component equipment, thousands of dollars. And really all you needed was a small amount of material. Well, the cartridge gun allows you to do that. Today we're going to demonstrate a cartridge gun that'll spray about a half gallon at a time. We're going to teach you how to load the cartridges, a little bit of nomenclature about the cartridges, and a little bit about the gun as well. What kind of coatings are you going to put through this? Maybe hard coats for styrofoam that are very fast setting, even though we do have some that are slower. Some applications require fast speed. Some elastomers that are for flooring or for bed liners work quite well through that. They're instant set in 10 to 15 seconds, and you can do that. The thing is that the price of the cartridges runs the cost of materials up a bit, but in some cases it's worth it because you get the advantage and the cleanliness of being able to spray a nice cosmetic coating very evenly into a floor apparatus, table, or even into an end mold application. Also foams, spraying polyurethane foam, not the material in the can you get at your local hardware. We're talking about a true fast reacting spray foams of different densities. Again, cartridges allow you to do that with ease, simply loading these things and spraying them out. So it's really worth to have this in your arsenal of things to work with. First thing we want to do is we want to familiarize you with your equipment that you need to do this with. And the equipment we chose today is a large twin spray gun. It's capable of handling two 750 milliliter cartridges. We're going to teach you how to load those. A little bit about your gun. This is the pneumatic cylinder. Here's your adjustment right here for the travel action. Also, there's a push-pull that will reverse the piston and also let it go forward with a touch of a trigger. Your main trigger mechanism is down here. Your regulator gauge that sets the amount of air that's going to go to the spray nozzle is set right through here. So you'll set it through this application, but really the on and off is through this on and off valve, just like that. The way it's going to work is you're going to set the cartridges in here when we have them all loaded. You'll put a spray head on, and then you'll connect the tube to the spray head. We're going to show you how to do that, and then it's a matter of just finessing it and spraying the material. We want to introduce you a little bit about the cartridges. A few things you need to know. First of all, this is a cartridge set. It's just a injection molded cartridge. It's already pre-sealed, so you'll have to cut these ends off when we're ready to go, but not while we're trying to load them. That's going to be next. And then something to hold the cartridge in. This is just a 1 gallon pail if you don't have an assistant. It fits nicely in there. The next thing you'll need are pistons. And each set come with 2 pistons that will be pressed in the back. And we're going to load the liquid, and then we're going to burp the air out. We're going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to teach you how to put on the spray nozzle and then load it into the gun. In some cases it's best that you load your own cartridges because many times when liquids sit around in cartridges over time, gravity will make the liquids separate. The pigments will separate out, some of the drying agents separate out, and it will cause uneven effects in the end product that you're trying to spray or inject or whatever you're trying to do. To do this, what we're going to do first is we're going to mark the level of where we want to pour the liquids. What I like to do is I lay the pistons out on the table with the cartridge right next to it. I take a marker and I just put a small mark as an indicator to show where I'm going to fill the cartridges full. For me, it's hard to get an assistant to help you do this, so a handy 1 gallon pail works quite well. In this case, a 1 gallon plastic pail that I'm just going to set the empty cartridge into, and this is going to allow me to balance it and to fill it. The reason we marked it is we want to know exactly where to push the pistons into. If we mark it too full, the pistons are going to hang out the back. And you'd really like to load the pistons so they're even, so that when the A and the B come out, they're coming out on an even cadence together and get an even mix very early on. Of course, when you spray, there's some techniques about that. When you spray, the first 2 or 3 seconds are sprayed off target to allow the A and the B to catch up and become equal, and then on target to finish spraying. Today we're just going to load a simple foam system, an A and a B, and it's 1-to-1 by volume. Always check the measurements too of what you're trying to spray, that the ratios are what the cartridges are. You can buy them in 2-to-1, 3-to-1, in this case 1-to-1 because the foam is going to be that. So what we've done is I've got a piece of thin plastic that is just some plastic strapping from pallets. Heavy fishing line works quite well too, but what you're trying to do is when we push the piston into the cartridge, we want to have an escape so the air can come out, because the air will cause unevenness in the spraying. In this case, we've got the part A of the foam, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it and I'm going to fill it to the line that I previously marked. That looks just about right. The next thing I'm going to do is this piece of strapping that I'm going to use to burp the cartridge and get the excess air. I'm going to set it in the top, and then I'm going to bring the piston on. It has a flat and a recessed end. You want to put the flat end towards the liquid, and the recessed end is going to be towards the plungers or the pistons on the actual spray gun. And the way you do it is you come in on an edge, and where you've got the fishing line or the thin piece of plastic, you're going to force the piston in there. And then with your thumb, you're going to tilt it so that the air that's going to come out is at the highest point. And then we're going to push it until liquid arrives outside. Now once that happens, we're going to pull it, and that's it. You've done it. We've got the cartridge loaded, and as I said before, this is 3/4 of a liter in each side here. So we've got 1.5 liters of this particular cartridge set. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the static mixer. Now the static mixer has 3 parts to it. You have the locking nut, the actual mixer, the static mixer, and you've got the spray head here. A static mixer works on the principle of like rocks in the river. Rocks don't move, the river does. And so it's important that you get enough speed to come through this, the liquid coming through this, to do proper shearing and proper mixing. That's going to be different on every material that you end up with. As the viscosity or the thickness or thinness of the liquid is lower, you don't require as much pressure, but there's a maximum and a minimum. Also, as the liquid becomes thicker, you may end up having to change the length of the cartridge to be longer to do a more dynamic mixing of the material, or it could be shorter. Temperature affects it as well. Anything that affects the viscosity of the materials. You may find in the winter that a 6-inch works, whereas in the summer a 4-inch works, vice versa. In this case, we found that a typical 8-inch mixer works on this variant of material. So what we need to do is we have to cut the end of the cartridge off because it's molded in place. That's done with just a sharp blade. We're going to cut it off. We've got the ends cut off, and you want to inspect it to make sure that you've cleared all the plastic, and you've got it cut pretty well snug. Next is the installation of the static mixer. If you notice, it's bell-shaped, and you want to make sure that it fits onto the male end of the cartridge. So what you want to do is pull the locking nut back, press it on to make sure you've got a good even fit. Hold the static mixer, and then carefully start the nut down, that you don't want to get it cross-threaded because it's easy to do because the plastic is soft. Looks like we've got it on there pretty good. I want to just snug it up. You don't have to really tighten up super tight, but just nice and snug. And it looks like I've got it. Now at this point in time, you want to always keep this cartridge pointed up, because remember, you've opened the end up and the liquids can now start down the barrel of the mixer and prematurely react and form a closed section and make the mixer useless. Well, now it's time to snap it into our gun. Now what you want to also make sure is that you have enough pressure to run the compression of the pistons and also the spray head. You're going to need a compressor. It's going to be at least 30 to 35 cubic feet per minute at 100 psi to run this. You may not need all that pressure, but that's going to give you more than adequate. That's normal, like a shop compressor for painting cars or the like. Too small a compressor, you may not develop enough air at the tip to properly atomize the material. When you put it in, remember, we can't tilt it beyond, say, 20 degrees because we're going to get materials to prematurely come into the nozzle. So pick the gun up and make sure the pistons are all the way retracted. And we did this by pressing the retract over here and triggering the button. These are all the way back. Tilt the gun about 20-30 degrees. place the cartridge on board, snap it in place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up the air line that goes to the air assist at the end. Now this is just a push-pull coupling. You push it on, you press down on the collar, you pull it off. Push it on, that's it. We have air that's down here. We've put about 45 psi, but we don't turn anything on yet. There's air supplied to the gun. We make sure that the reversing valve is reversed to present the pistons forward. Pick it up, and when we're ready to spray, we tilt this down and then turn on the air. If you turn on the air at this angle, it will prematurely suck material into the line and have it harden and again become useless on the static mixer. What's nice about this gun, it has an ancillary handle here that can be screwed onto either side of the gun depending if you're right or you're left-handed, which makes it nice. The gun is easy to handle. Too much pressure on the pistons will cause them to leak. You'll see it. How to adjust that? Back on the back side. This adjusts the pressure on the pistons. To the right, more. To the left, less pressure. So we want to have just enough pressure to push the pistons, but not enough to squeeze it past them. And just enough air pressure to get the desired effect that you want when you spray. A little bit of air is kind of a blob, more of a salt and pepper type of shake. If you turn the pressure way up down here at the regulator, then you can spray a very even pass as well. A lot of times people will adjust the pressure by just changing the angle of the amount of air from this simple air valve here, rather than trying to change it with the regulator. So set the regulator one time, do most of your spray with it all the way open, but if you want to put a texture, maybe crank the air back down to about half, get a little bit up, and you can put a texture down. Later we're going to demonstrate how to actually spray some foam on a target. But if we were to have this all the way done, the pistons were all the way down, what we're going to do is we're going to take off the airhead. It's easy to do. We're going to retract the pistons by pushing the brass pin, triggering the gun, pushing that, pulling this out. This would be empty and throwing it away. It's a one-time use thing. Now, if you don't use a cartridge all the way up, go ahead and stop and let the material harden in the static mixer and just leave it on there. It's kind of a nice cap, and next time that you're ready to use it, you pull it off, put a new static mixer on, and you're ready to go. That way you don't waste any materials. But as we said before, on some materials you want to go ahead and use them up as soon as you can because they settle in the cartridges. That's why when you load them, go ahead and use them as soon as you can.